I'm now speaking with Richard Stevenson, candidate for mayor. I've got a ton of questions here for you. You know, why did you decide to run for mayor? Because everybody's gotten used to you as being a trustee, and now you're going to go a little bit deeper.
Well, first of all, Eric, my entire life has been centered around people, and I love working with people. And if you've been watching my career and so forth, I've been an advocate in various capacities. But the most significant one, it was with this garbage thing and so forth. And we always have stepped forward for things. And so the whole life situation has been working around people. And so I think now, as a result of me doing a lot of things and doing things at the trustee's office, it's time for me to be more effective to serve a greater number of people.
You know, now, once you become mayor, what are the first things you want to do?
One of the things of becoming mayor, my whole purpose is about togetherness. I believe, Eric, that the downtown area is very important and it is progressive, but Fort Wayne is bigger than downtown, and we must be concerned with the entire city, every facet of it, the north, the east, the west, the south, and we must. And then I think we can do that if we're more inclusive and bring all elements together, that we can do great things and move the city forward.
Now, you said a couple words there, inclusion, things like that. There's a movement downtown by people that's trying to make this environment more inclusive. And what they're doing is putting their arms around the new immigrants, putting their arms around the midgets, the gays, humpbacks, and everybody, and you know, that's new. As a matter of fact, years ago I was part of a multicultural council out of IPFW, and what I noticed was that they're multicultural, and here I am in the middle of this, and I'm, you know, bringing stories about the Indians and about the blacks to the table. They didn't want to hear that. Now I've noticed that all across the horizon here, when people want to be multicultural and talk about inclusiveness, they really don't mean blacks and Indians. And here's my point. If you talk about inclusion, exclusion had to have existed. And the only ones in the society that were excluded have been blacks and Indians. I've been told that we don't want to discuss that because it's bad and it's a conversation stopper, so therefore we want to talk about this. And we can talk about the new people today. My contention is, if you build it solely on the backs of the new people, it'll die because the foundation of it has never been addressed.
I think, Eric, it's so important, and I'm glad to hear that the movement is to be more inclusive, because that's the whole key to everything. And you cannot exclude anyone. You must include everyone. The Indians, they made quite a contribution to this community. The blacks have made quite a bit of contribution to this community. And so you don't want to leave anyone out. And I think if we're together and so forth, we can be a greater city than one could ever imagine.
But to be fair to the person who I'm kind of quoting, blacks didn't know about the survey and didn't come out and participate in it, so therefore they weren't really counted. And I found out that in this survey, representing the Fort Wayne community were the Burmese refugees. So I mean that's great on a certain perspective, you know.
Yes.
But anyway, my whole point is that with the inclusion and different things that you want to do here, what broader vision do you have of Fort Wayne? Because I talk to a lot of people, and they don't really know the identity of Fort Wayne, what Fort Wayne stands for, what Fort Wayne is. How do you want to shape that so that it's crystal clear about what kind of a community this is?
Well, the first thing you have to go back is the history, and you must talk about the city being called Kikianga, and that brings into the Native American history. You cannot talk about Fort Wayne without realizing that it has a profound Indian background and so forth. Then you go from there and so forth, and it's so important to be inclusive. And I think that's the key word, that it takes all of us, and the young, the old. And speaking of the young and so forth, Fort Wayne could be considered by some to be a dying community. Dying because of the lack of young people. Too many, Eric. Too many of our young folks, or we might as well say most of our young folks are leaving our community, and they're taking with them their talents and their ideals of what would make a greater Fort Wayne. And without their absence and so forth, us older people in Fort Wayne, we will eventually be like a ghost town and so forth, because no young ones to find up. So when I say inclusive, we must bring the young people to the table and hear their ideals, and to make Fort Wayne more at home for them. And that's what we want to do most of all.
Now, you do realize that when you become mayor, you'll be the first African-American mayor in the history of Fort Wayne. To what extent does that frighten you?
That doesn't frighten me at all. And I really don't love the idea of being the first African-American mayor and so forth. I'm not the black Wayne Township Trustee. I am the Wayne Township Trustee for the Democrats, for the Republicans, for the blacks, for the whites, for the Burmese, for the Hispanic, for everybody and so forth. And we try to serve in that capacity because everybody deserves the dignity. And that's the same position I would take as mayor of this community.
What has your present position as Wayne Township Trustee, how has that best prepared you to be the top leader here in the city of Fort Wayne?
It has prepared me tremendously. First of all, some years ago and so forth, if you recall, people said it's a tragedy that the incumbent was defeated. And I think that will be the same thing here. We haven't changed the Wayne Township Trustee office to a great extent, but we provided it with dignity. We made everybody's self-worth important, and that's what we would do as the city. There's a lot of things that's going on well with the city, but we want to be more inclusive and so forth, because we believe that a happy worker brings about a happy product and so forth, and that's what we want to do, make everyone happy to be a part of the city of Fort Wayne.
I saw you a couple of nights ago at City Council, and you didn't seem to be happy.
I was not happy because I heard the councilmen, they had already voted upon an issue that they then wanted comments on. Well, I was not willing to make a comment upon what they were talking about after they had already said no. Now, if they gave me the opportunity to speak before they had voted, I would have most certainly voted or commented, I would say, in favor of the issue that they voted down.
Well, you know, how does it make you feel when people walk up to you and or you hear that people have said, I'm not going to vote, my vote makes no difference, you know, I might as well just stay at home? What do you say to those kind of people?
Boy, that is a whopper. But the most important thing I can say about it, Eric, is for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been spending a week's time on this Selma thing. I've lived this thing, and I say the Selma thing because it was all about getting people qualified to vote and so forth. I've been at the Pettus Bridge. I've been at the grave site of Cheney, Goodman, and Swiner, and so forth. And better still, I took young people with me so that they could better understand the significance of voting and the many lives that were lost by people trying to get others to vote. So it's almost shocking to be 2015 and some people still don't understand the significance of voting.
Okay, last thing, what do you want to say to people who don't really know you and they don't know what you stand for? Why should they want to vote for you? What are you going to bring to the table that's an improvement over and above what's there on the table now?
Those people that don't know me and so forth, I would encourage them to stick around and to ask others that do know me, and they would see that we would bring about dignity and being proud of who we are in Fort Wayne. We can take it to the next level, and that's the main reason why I would like to be mayor and so forth, so that we can take it to the next level together.
Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome.
And thank you for watching.